What's going on, guys? It is DigiWatch TCG coming to you with a what just happened video, and we have Carta Magica's Ultimate Cup that just happened this weekend, and I'm going to go over the top 12 decks, just because I do think there were a few cool decks just to highlight. The deck was pretty good. I was a participant in it as well. I came in 112th place, and definitely was really fun to play. Before we begin, please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts below on what you'd like to see next. Shout out to Eggman for putting up all these decks. Definitely go check out his channel after you check out this video. He has some really good stuff. He has also a little bit more in-depth analysis of the decks, as well as interviews with the first place winner. So please go and check out his stuff after this. So the first deck we're going to take a look at is the yellow-red hybrid deck, which is definitely different than what I've normally seen in the current meta and current list. So Guillemon with the Digimon, when you Digivolve on top, is a draw 2, basically being able to hit 1 security and then just be able to draw 2 from that, just swing. Just very powerful. I think it's a really good tech, and then it's obviously different from playing decks in yellow hybrid, because you usually go into Rapidmon, but you don't have that chance over here. You do have the hybrid package with 3 of the Ophanimons, and then pretty standard what you normally see in this, with the exception Zwart Defeat actually being a really cool tech as well, just being able to Digivolve over purple, so pretty much being able to Digivolve on top of Ophanimon, kind of like a more get to your level 7 type of deck, as well as just being able to pop your opponent's cards with tall stacks with Gaia Force and Crimson Blaze, being able to delete if your opponent goes wide against like D-Reaper and stuff like that. Pretty standard of what you normally would see over here, since you're not playing dual colors, you're not playing the Cody, but you are playing TK Kari, kind of more of a, I guess, a BT7 kind of build in a sense. So this was a really interesting take on the deck, and obviously it came in top 16, so congratulations, that was really good. Then we have just as comparison, this is the number 11 deck, and this is pretty much what you normally would see from a yellow hybrid at the current meta, with 2 Susanemon, 2 Ophanis, and then the hybrids and the Rapidmons and stuff like that, with the only difference, I think, being that he's playing Holy Flame, which we all kind of are learning that this is definitely one of the techs going into future formats that you want to consider playing, and just being able to floodgate your field, and everything gets -1 security check, so they can't really go into a hybrid and be able to swing for a game or anything like that if you're facing blue or green, blue, green, or any of the other decks that are like utilize hybrids. Going into our first top 10, here is the Mastemon deck. Though we do have a even split of the rookies over here, being Psychmon, Gazimon, Salamon, and Tapirmon. I think this is interesting how the build is, because I do see some people just kind of cutting the Salamon and Tapirmon, or just the Tapirmon, and playing another copy of the Gazimon and Psychmon just to build up the consistency, because you do face against like decks like Imperialdramon that focus on memory gain, and decks that hard play cards, just like Reaper decks, so this deck would definitely absolutely do well. You have the Wizardmon, the Black Gatomon, just being able to combine with the Gatomon, just being able to do that. You have pretty standard list up to the, where is it, Underworld's Call. I would say that that's the second change in this deck, but I do like it. It's a way of getting back your Gatomon or your level 4s. Also, just trashing for your hand, you get another draw, so you might draw into the piece you need. And then the last real change, which I really like, is the Cody in this deck. Looking as a whole, just like looking at a whole deck of this, you see how many yellows are played. So if they are not able to get rid of your Mastemon or stuff, you're going to basically be able to start at 4. Also being able to kind of DP reduce cards on your opponent's side of the field with Cody, tapping Cody is also a very, very strong move. So that might be something going forward that some of these decks want to consider playing, is maybe cut the Underworld's Call or one of the other like level 6s or something like that. Maybe try that, play another Cody, that way you can start at 5. If you have 2 Codys out, -4,000 in your opponent's stuff. And again, there's a lot of dual colors here, so that's something to keep in mind. Going into our number 9 list is our first blue hybrid out of this. So we basically have the floodgates here, plus what you would normally see the hybrid package of. I think the real big variance here is the Innocence Blizzard, I don't think it's. Just calling it a variance because it's not in every single deck, but it is right now like a really good card to play in the deck. So yeah, that is kind of like our standard blue hybrid package. Number 8 over here, we have our first Imperialdramon list. This I thought was really interesting, the way that these decks are kind of cutting up the rookie lineup. I think that's the biggest changes that you normally see is the rookie and the champion lineup. Usually the options are pretty much the standard options here. I'm not going to really talk about anything too different here. And then our level, I think 4 is the right ratio for our these cards. And then you have the even split of Chimeramon and Dino B, 4 Pies, 4 Sting, 3 Lightramon, 4 XV, and then just again these cards over here being the Kumamon, having the Vmons here. This is kind of going to be the biggest like do I change one thing out for another, and we're playing I think 13 is total, so 4 8 yeah, 13 of our level 3s over here, so good job for Jessel. I think that's how you say Imperial. There's a nice list. Going into our 7th, we have another Mastemon. So kind of again, I think the most change you're ever going to see in these decks is going to be pretty much the option, the Tamers, and then the level 3s. So this one over here, 3 Psychmon, 2 Gazi, 1 Salat, and 1 Candlemon. I think just to kind of give a little yellows, like, you know, an extra yellow on the field, so that if you like hard played a Gazi or something like that, and you needed to Flame Health Scythe your opponent, you could do Salamon plus Gazi. And then you have some of the other cards over here too, pretty standard, what you normally see. We are seeing the Chimeramon variant of this deck, so basically being able to go into your level 4s, one basically having maybe a Gatomon on the field, and then one having like, you know, maybe something in Raising that you went into, and just being able to Jogress summon into a Chimeramon, so that means you're not expending the memory on it. And then you have Avenged Kidmon over here, just being able to pop a level card on your opponent's side of the field. I don't know if this card is. I think it's a good. I think it's a good tech in the deck. That's all I can say about it. I think I kind of was thinking about the same way, just putting an Avenged Kidmon in certain decks, just to be able to kind of get rid of options like security control and like stuff like that. And also Beelstar. That against Beelstar, it's really good. Little change here, really interesting, is the Megadramon. Just being able to trash 5 cards from the deck is really powerful sometimes, because sometimes people need those cards, especially against Imperialdramon hybrids. Just being able to trash Tamers and you know, necessary resources. Second effect doesn't play in here. Getting the Galtmon, there's no Galtmon in here. I would actually find that kind of cool though if an opponent, like you maybe take out the Avenged Kidmon, just put a Galtmon in here, and just you know, be able to play it out for free on deletion. I think that would be kind of funny. But then we have the only other change here, which is the Sora, and I think it's a cool strategy. It kind of puts it's kind of playing a little bit of a psych game with your opponent, because your opponent's like deciding, okay, do I play a card with that is a level 4 to the field just so they don't get the extra memory gain, or let them have the memory gain and don't commit? Because if you do commit, there are ways very easily, like playing Hell Scythe and playing like the Mastemon package, just to be able to delete your opponent's stuff. So I find that kind of interesting. Plus it gets you a draw 1, trash 1 from your hand. I think that's kind of a cool tech to put into the deck. Getting into our 6th place list, it's another Mastemon list. Kind of, again, another even split of the rookies. Nothing too heavily to watch here. Just an extra copy of Lady Dev, probably for more consistency. And then pretty much standard 6s package. And then over here, KS Dag. So this is a pretty standard list of what you normally see in Mastemon. Number 5, I'm actually really interested in some of these lists, which is kind of cool, and some of the variances. So you have the deck over here, which is really focused on the Chimeramon package over the Dino B. And then instead of playing 3 Megadeths that a lot of lists have recently started playing more, there is 4 Hammerspark. I think that's an interesting tech to play in the deck as well. And then for our level 3 lineup, we are playing, I believe this is 10, 12, 14 rookies here. with the double searcher, dual color searcher, as well as the free at 4, and then an even split between the Vmons over here, and the Labramon being at 2, and then the Magnemon here just being able to be more consistent with the Chimeramon, being able to put a card underneath it and just be able to push it to 12,000 DP on your turn. So I think that is kind of cool to have. So yeah, that is basically the list over here. This is number fourth place, Imperialdramon list, similar to what the other list was, except if you notice there is a little bit of variance between the you have another blocker here, the Magnemon, and you have the Leomon instead of something else. I don't even know what is missing from this deck right now. Lightramon at 2, interesting, and then the hybrid for game, and then you have 3 copies of Dino B, which normally see 6 ultimates normally in these decks, but I guess they build up the consistency. I do like Dino B as a card, and I think that when you are searching it with your cards, like your Vmons over here, it's instead of Chimeramon, you'll miss the target, but with this, you'll be able to gain it, and then you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon is really powerful. And then pretty standard. Again, 4 copies of the Hammer Spark instead of 3, and then 2 Megadeths. So yeah, going into our top 3 lists, we have third place being Blue Hybrid. I won't spend too much time on this. We all know what a Blue Hybrid deck looks like. I'm just going to highlight the differences. That is a Ikakumon. Since this deck likes to strip sources, your opponent will most likely have a Digimon that has no sources. And really cool combo, I believe, is like going into Ikakumon, swinging into one of your opponent's Digimon, or swinging like with a hybrid first, and then stripping your opponent's sources away, and then just being able to swing over it with Ikakumon is good. And then the Rattlestar being able to send anything to your opponent's security, anything to the bottom of the deck, is also really good. I think it's a really good one-of to play in the deck. And then the Innocence Blizzard, of course, being able to strip sources and also stun opponent's Digimon. Number 2 list is the Imperialdramon. This is, I think, the highest in any tournament recently that Imperialdramon has been able to play and like get so far. And congratulations to Jesse Spencer for having that up here. And I do like a couple of techs. I actually will say that with my builds, I was going back and forth between playing like the offensive plug-in A, because I did think like against D-Reaper, this gives you the extra swing. Against normal decks, it's 4 checks to their security. So it is a really powerful card, which I really do like in this deck personally. You pretty much standard breakdown over here. 2 Dino Bs I think is good, because again, searching for it with the Vmon makes a little bit more consistency instead of the Chimeramon. Although I don't really vary between like 1 Dino B and 1 Chimera, or 2 Dino Bs. But it does get you an extra free search, and also it gets you with the Davis, if you are playing the Davis, being able to get the Dino B as a green and whatever else you need as a blue. And then the Omnimon for game. We are missing an Ice Wall, I will say that, which is interesting. And then we have, of course, the Leomon over here. I think this gives your opponent a little bit of a should I swing or should I not swing at your security, because Leomon can block, and then if it's deleted, you get 2 memory, so it may pass the turn, being able to block and just make it harder for your opponent to win. And then, of course, we have the Analog Youth, which I think is really interesting. I will say that Analog Youth does kind of have a little bit of a place in this deck. I don't know how consistent it was in the tournament, but I do know that with the Analog Youth, if you go into if you're unfortunately not able to get into your XVmon on time, then you sometimes have to go into Stingmon and then go into your Imperialdramon and just be able to swing. And if it dies in security because it hit into something stronger than 8,000 DP, then you can tap the Analog Youth, be able to gain a memory just from the deletion, so at the very least you can hatch one of your eggs. You can kind of start to build up a little bit faster, which I think is a really interesting thought process of playing one, but I don't know again how often it came up. And then lastly over here with the top deck is the first one we actually have ever seen, I think, in a top cut, Undefeated, I think also, but Russell Lepar's Green Hybrid is really spicy over here. So I think this, like, compared to all things, I don't play green at all. Like, I am not a green player at all. But I will commend that this is a really, really solid deck, I think. I think this is tight. When I say tight, I mean, like, everything works perfectly together. Number one, like, if you think about a first play, and let's say you have the most optimal opening, let's say you have a Terriermon on the field, or you play Terriermon and you want to have one in raising, and then the next turn, you know what, the first thing you do is you can play a Calamon for 1 cost, be able to Digivolve practically for free, because these cards over here, man, like, if you Digivolve onto a Rapidmon onto Terriermon, number one, you get 2,000 additional DP on that Digimon onto Rapidmon, making it able to swing into 13,000 DP Digimon. You gain a memory, you get additional 3,000 DP if you have Calamon on the field. So you could actually make this Rapidmon 8,000, 11,000, being able to also suspend and delete Digimon on your opponent's side of the field. So very, very powerful stuff. I am actually super impressed with that. With your level 4 package, of course, you know, your hybrids, you have your tamers over here. You have a couple Terramon for 1 cost, being able to go basically into it for free, potentially. If you have the Calamon on field, if you have the Dot Rhino Kabuterimon, which is very easy to get into for practically 1 cost, if you're digivolving on top of a JP and a hybrid, basically able to swing into your opponent's security, and then go into one of your level 6s like Shivamon, Argamon, or Ancient Beetlemon, and just be able to really control the board. Cherrymon as a second level 5 option, which I think is a really smart move, because right now in the current meta, the biggest, I think, problem with this is probably against Imperialdramon, which is why, like, they probably was in top cut. And Imperialdramon can spin cards that are 6,000 DP or less, so it just misses this. So that is a really interesting tech, and even if they fighter mode this back, it's like, okay, you just spend a lot of time, just be able to send it back to hand, and just be able to hard play it or play it again on the next turn. And then the Submodesante, very underrated card. I really like this card. I actually was considering at one point playing it in my Imperialdramon deck, just being able to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It does not unsuspend on the next turn, and then having the security effect being the kind of a similar thing where you suspend your opponent's Digimon. So it could potentially save you in that sense. And then the perfect picks for the Tamers, in my opinion. The Mimi giving you that ability to just kind of speed through your level, promote your level 3s, or in raising cards, or Digivolve if you have a level 5 on field, which, again, if they get, like, the Shivamon, you can't get rid of it. It's a level 6. The next turn, they're going to trash one of your security and just be able to, like, promote whatever they Digivolve into in their raising. The Mimis over here, again, you like to suspend in this deck, so being able to suspend with Mimi, gaining the extra memory from that is really good, and just being able to have that second option of, okay, maybe I don't have a level 6 in my hand, but I'm going to tap Izzy Mimi and just be able to look at the top 3 of my deck and just be able to Digivolve to my level 6. I think is very, very powerful, especially in this deck. Just gives it that consistency factor, and then JP, of course, giving it piercing. Overall, I would say that this was one of my favorite events I think I've ever been to, or participated in, and that it was so. Even though, like, my personal matchups, I faced, I think, 5 Imperialdramons out of 9 rounds, but I will say that it was a lot of fun. A lot of people were super nice. No one was salty when they lost. I got a lot of experience in the mirror match, but I definitely think that the top cut here is pretty diverse. As you can see here, we have now a pretty good representation of Imperialdramon in top cut. We have Mastemon in top cut. We have over here, like, this is what I think is a healthy meta. We go into our, cards over here, and I didn't go into the other list for the top 16, but there were a few Armor Rush decks that made it into top 16 as well. Unfortunately, no Reapers made it that far, but being able to have green, yellow, blue, and a few reds, and a few, like, Armor Rushes and stuff like that be in the top was just really, really good. But with that said, please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts below on what you'd like to see next. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.